Hey out there everybody, it's Mrs. C. I'm going to try a Algebra 2 problem today. It's going to be solving a radical equation. So it's going to start out saucy right away. I have a square root of 7 minus x. That's not what's so bad. It's this side. Equals 4 minus another square root of 2x plus 2. Now ordinarily in at least in the Algebra 1 world, I only have one radical. Easy enough to take care of, square both sides, and you wind up eliminating the radical completely. In a case like this, one square rooting is not going to take care of it. And I just want you to follow along with me and see why. So when I square both sides, and I know you might be thinking, well, don't you want to get the radicals together? No, not really. Getting the radicals together is not going to make this any easier. So just keep them separate, actually. Square both sides, and then we'll do a little combining. You'll see what happens. So if you square the left, easy breezy. We have a 7 minus x. It's this side. See, I have the square of a binomial. Because of this minus sign separating the two terms, I now have to use FOIL to go ahead and multiply and distribute so that I'm squaring everybody. So what that means is I'm going to use my little trick, my square of a binomial. If you remember, squaring a binomial, square the first, square the last, times the 2, and double them. And so let's do this. 4 squared, 4 times 4 is 16. Okay, let's do the back, square the back. Well, the square of a negative root 2x plus 2 is actually 2x plus 2. Negative squared is positive. There's our 2x plus 2. Here's where the radical doesn't go away, because when I do my FOIL, my outside and insides will wind up timesing these two together. So it would be 4 times a negative radical or root 2x plus 2, which is actually a negative 4 root 2x plus 2. And then I got to double it with the other one. That gives me a negative 8 root 2x plus 2. Ay, ay, ay. So you see how my radicals aren't gone yet? I still have this stinking term here that I have to deal with. No problems, no worries. Let's just deal with it. Move all of these guys, move them over to the left side and isolate this radical. And then I'm going to attack it again. So slow and steady, just minus everybody. Minus the 16, minus the 2. Go ahead and minus the 2x. And now let's just combine. These are all gone over here. Let me keep changing colors to try to make it easier. I don't know if that works. Let me go ahead and tally up my numbers. I have a negative 16 and a negative 2, 6, 7, 8. That's a negative 18. Negative 18 and a positive 7. I'm getting a negative 11 on that. A negative 3x equal to a negative 8 root 2x plus 2. All right, and I think I'm good. So far, so good. I'm checking my notes to make sure I haven't made any major mistakes, because I'll tell you, I have done this problem more than once and screwed up multiple times. I don't want to do it again. I'm tired of it. All right, now, do you notice how I still have a radical? Well, what did I do up here? When I had a radical, I squared it. Well, now, remember I said, usually we have one radical. And what do we have to do? We just square both sides and get rid of it. Well, here I go again. I got to do it again. The only way to get rid of this radical is to square it. At least that's the only way I know. When you square one side, you have to square the other side. All right, now, see I'm running out of room here. So let me, if you don't mind, just erase some of this other stuff. I'm about to erase, so hopefully you have all this. And let's get rid of it so I can work with a little bit more space. Okay, back to it. I'm going to square the left, then I'm going to square the right. So when I where'd my square go? Got it. I'm going to square this side. When I square it, I get a 121 plus 9x squared plus 66x. Okay, that's the first. That's this squared. Then my 9x came from that squared, and then times the 2. That's a negative 11 and a negative 33. That's going to be times the 2, positive 33, excuse me, and double. That's going to wind up being a positive 66. Okay. Now, over on this side, I'm going to go ahead and square 8 root 2x plus 2. Now, that means square the 8. It's a negative 8, but negative 8 squared is going to be positive 64. And then squaring root 2x plus 2 gives you 2x plus 2, but you got to times it to the 64. My goodness, there's a lot of nooks and crannies to this problem. All right, we're going to move on. I'm going to get rid of this bottom. You can always rewind if I'm moving too fast. And changing color just so that we can try to keep tabs on this problem. Here we go. All right, now what I want to do is just, I want to move everybody. I was going to say combine like terms. Yes, ultimately I do want to do that. So let's just do a nice little distributive method. Oh, remember when it was just learning the distributive method? Where did those days go? Okay, so 64 times 2x, 128x, plus 128. And then I got all this other stuff going on. I'm going to move these guys over. I want to set my guy equal to 0 so I can solve my quadratic. So I'm going to minus the 128x from my other x term, minusing the 128. I don't want to lose you over here, minus 128x. Then I want to minus the 128, minus 1, minus, where is it? Minus. It's not doing it. Come on, now's not the time to not work for me. Minus. I'm having to use my finger. 128. All right, hopefully that glitch is going to be done. Changing color. Maybe it just doesn't like my color. How about purple? Okay, so let's combine like terms. I have a 121 and a negative 128. That's a negative 7. See, it just didn't like the color red. Then I only have a 9x squared, so positive 9x squared. And then I'm going to combine my 66 and my negative 128, and that is a negative 62x. It's equal to 0. So here's my pretty little quadratic. And now, just got to solve the quadratic. So I'm not even going to attempt any kind of factoring. I'm just probably, it would be not that hard to factor, but I'm just going to use the quadratic formula. I have a 9x squared minus a 62x minus 7 equals 0. So if we set up our A, B, and C, we're going to see that, changing color again. All right, so we're going to see the setup would be, and you know your quadratic formula, so it's a negative b, so it would be a negative 62 plus minus the square root of, again, a b squared, so it's negative 62 squared, minus 4ac, so minus 4a times c is a negative 63, all of that beautifulness over 18, which is over 2a. So, all we got to do is clean up. Come on, we can do this. It's all equal to 0, by the way. All right, we wind up with changing color again. Changing color. Here we go. We have a 62 plus minus. I did my math already. I'm cheating. The square of 62 is actually 3844 plus 252. You can do the math and double check me. I'm most certain that I'm right. Then I'm going to clean this up a little bit more. That was supposed to be an equal sign. Going to clean this up just a little bit more so that I have a 62 plus minus the square root of 40996. Doesn't want to write on that last little bit. Oh, come on. Really? I'm here, and I'm just huffing and puffing. 62 plus minus the square root of 4,096. Now I'm going to tell you, I got 4,096, and just bells and whistles went off because that's a perfect square. And man, you know what it feels like when you get, and you're doing the quadratic formula and you get a perfect square. Number one, it makes you realize you could have factored it. But number two, it makes you feel like you might be doing something right. Just something right. All right, we're going to bring it home. Again, I have to erase because there's just not enough room. And all I have to do at this point is evaluate my quadratic formula solutions. And so I just have to do a 60 plus the square root of 4096. Now you might be wondering, what is the square root of 4096? It's 64. So we wind up with this being equal, I didn't mean to do that. we wind up with this being equal to a positive 64. So we wind up with 62 plus minus 64 over 18. And what's that going to give me? Two different solutions. 62 plus 64, which is going to give me 126 over 18. And then the 62 minus 64, which is going to give me I believe a negative, what is that going to be, 2 over 18. And those two different answers, this one's going to be equal to 7, and this one's going to be equal to 1/9. So in the end, my x answers are going to be a negative 1/9 and 7. And then, check for extraneous solutions. I'm too exhausted. I couldn't possibly check for anything else except look in the answer key and see if you're right. Okay, guys, this has been just a pleasure, right? Just an absolute pleasure solving radicals. And all I can say is slow and steady wins the race when you're solving radical equations. Multiple steps. Just stay the course, stay focused, watch your computation. And as always, this is Mrs. C, and I'll see you on the flip side. Peace.